Steve Austin, heck yeah.
Stone Cold, man.
Yeah.
So how did you, I guess, get invested into coaching special teams and specializing that part of the game?
When I was a player, it was a pathway to get onto the football field. I was a high school quarterback, played defensive back a little bit, went to college as a quarterback, did not excel at that, got moved into secondary, did not excel at that, and had to find a pathway to get on the field, and loved it. Just the energy, the excitement, the fact you get to run around and do things you can't legally do in public, but run around hitting people and doing those things was pretty appealing. So, but more importantly, it drew me to my teammates on both sides of the ball because you brought value to the team. So it was an opportunity for me to play, but more importantly, to help our football team win games.
And with that message, how do you think the other guys, like non-kickers, punters, like the guys who are going to be on your kickoff units, how are they taking, I guess, your approach to that?
I've been really excited. The buy-in, the effort level of those guys has been really well. We are really working on fundamentals and scheme within all of that piece. So you can just work fundamentals the entire spring, but then not much scheme work. So we've been balanced on both. But the effort level, the enthusiasm with that, and then guys, we have to let them understand what that can do to wins and losses. We talk in terms about the battle of field position. How are we gaining yardage throughout the course of the football game to obviously lengthen drives, shorten our drives, punch down inside the 10, or explosive football plays? That is no different than a 40-yard pass completion. Down the punt inside the 10, you move the field. Those deals like that, executing the little things to help us win the battle of field position. And then within that, if you want to do this on Sundays, unless you're really special and drafted in the first or second round, you're going to have teams value. And you're going to have to go into an NFL training camp, execute special teams drills, and if it's the first time you've really bought into it and done it, you're going to turn your playbook in pretty quickly. And it keeps guys' careers alive. I've been fortunate to be around a lot of guys that I've coached that have been fortunate to play in the league and stay in the league, and a lot of them have been because of their special teams value. So it's our job to send that message to the players to where it is also a way for them to help their resume when they're looking to extend their careers and give them a tool to help them extend their careers.
When you look across the country, and Arizona kind of did this last year, and they've done it before, where you have a tight ends coach that is a special teams coach, or a linebackers coach that is also a special teams coach. Why do you think that coaching position has kind of been, I don't want to say undersold, but, you know, we'll just have this guy do it, and then you see teams finally bringing in a special teams coach?
Well, it's been the NCAA rules of what's been allowed. You didn't have the number of your 10 coaches, very few staffs, very, very few were able to have a sole special teams coach as one of those 10, because the other analyst positions and stuff we're not allowed to coach. Now, since the rule change where coaches can coach, now it allows coaching staffs to be able to have a sole special teams coach and still have your complement of your tight end coach, of your whatever. I, by trade, have always been a defensive back coach that's either been a defensive coordinator, co-coordinator, or special teams coordinator, which was a lot. Now, with just focusing solely on special teams, I'm excited about that role and what that can do to help this football team.
And then secondly, how did the conversations between you and Brennan start, and how did that all come together for you being here in Tucson?
Well, I've had the opportunity to coach against Coach Brennan on 3 different occasions. Once at Texas, once at SC, and once at Coastal Carolina. So I've always been very, very impressed with his football teams. Those are always really good football teams, well coached, disciplined, played hard, played tough. And that was when I heard the job was open. I reached out to guys on the staff, Coach Gonzalez, Coach Daggy, Coach Arce, that I had all worked with or been around, and said, hey, you know, what's the opportunity here? And, you know, conversations led to opportunities, and really, really excited to be here, that this opportunity came at the right place or at a great time around great people. I cannot say enough great things about Coach Brennan. The players love him. His emphasis of red line and all the things that he is implementing culture-wise and effort-wise and accountability and all those facets. I've done this for a long time, and I've seen good and bad, and I've seen what good culture, poor culture, guys that do it for themselves, guys that do it for their teammates. He's doing the right stuff, and that excites the heck out of me. And in doing my research on this job, that was something I was looking for as well.
How would you assess the kickers and punters thus far? And would you ideally like to have, different people doing those jobs as opposed to one guy doing both?
No doubt. Michael Salgado Medina's done a heck of a job. He's done both this spring. We're still working to figure out what avenue that goes. Does he do both? Which one does he do? We have a really good option there with having his ability to do both, and then whatever he does not do will obviously be a tremendous backup in that regard if he only does one of them. So that gives us some options. Has a really strong leg. So I'm excited at the progress he's made of where he's at, and then now gives a direction of where we go now with summer workouts, fall camp, and how he acclimates as we obviously fill that room with some additions and things like that as well, because we still will make some additions there.
How do you look at the situation at long snapper? What have you guys been doing there?
We're working work in progress there, and when you only have one through, and that's all part of it. We've trained some other guys on the team as well who've stepped up to do that. So we're a work in progress in that department.
And then, as far as just special teams as a whole, do you go into the portal looking for options to add depth or competition?
High school portal, I mean, wherever your best options are, there's different avenues there. There's positives and negatives to both, obviously. You'd always like to build depth to where you have an older guy that can show the younger guy how that works, and they just kind of naturally, older guy leaves, younger guy steps up and move forward. So that's what we'll be working towards, just build some continuity there, depth, and try to get the very best players we can put out there on Saturday afternoons and Saturday nights.
How would you assess the return game, punt game, kick? Is there any guy that kind of has a leg up on the others? Or?
I think we've got a lot of tremendous options. Obviously, guys that have been here prior. Then you bring in some of the new receivers. Adam Weissong has done it before. Watley, Hudson in the mix with Patterson there. So you've got some options at punt returner there. Quincy Craig has returned kicks before. Mahdi at Texas State was a big weapon for those guys there in the kick return game. So I'm really excited about what they're doing right now and some of the weapons that we have within that.
There's always a guy that seems on special teams that's overlooked, and then the special teams coach says, okay, this guy you may not notice, but he really stands out. Is there a guy that maybe we're not talking about on special teams that's kind of stood out to you?
A guy that two guys have really jumped out. Because I mentioned Adam Weissong can do a lot of different things, but Jabari and Stacey Bay, those two guys have jumped out as really good competitors, guys that are doing a great job flying around and lending some. I could give you 20 names, but those two guys may be kind of under the radar guys that have really jumped out and had really good spring practice.
So in the last few years, kind of the wall on punt has been bigger defensive linemen. I've noticed it's been more tight ends and quicker guys. What's the philosophy behind that? I have no recollection of that, Senator. I don't know exactly what we're doing. I don't want that out. I'm not trying to. I'd like to keep that one in-house.
The NFL adopted the quote-unquote dynamic kickoff last year to try to generate more kickoffs. What did you make of that, and do you think college football eventually will adopt something?
We're headed that way. I would be shocked if a year or two from now that's not what we're doing. To follow that model, I would be shocked. I still think that's one of the most explosive parts of the game. We've got now where guys have so many big legs that you've almost taken out. Obviously in the NFL, that took it out of the game. I know there's been some talk in the NFL of actually backing up that line in the future. So, we'll see where it goes, but I do think that's where this is headed.
What are the benefits of that? Following the NFL model.
I think what the NFL is, I don't know don't quote me on this 'cause I don't know for certain, but I think they have found that the impact concussion-wise stuff is lessened. I don't know if that's a part of it or not. I'm not an expert on that, but I do think that things that are implemented within the NFL that are successful, I think they're really fired up about where that's gone. I think that's a natural progression because the NFL is going to put pressure on the NCAA because if this is what we're doing, well, guys are ready to come do that on Sundays. So that's just my gut. I have no data to back that up.
In your journey coaching special teams, is there one kicker that stands out to you just about maybe his work ethic and how he approached things? Is there a great kicker in your opinion?
I think it is physical strength, like Mike Dixon and Chris Boswell are monsters in a weight room. Mike Dixon can go up there and power clean, bench, squat with anybody on the football team. He was that type of guy. It's a almost arrogant attitude that I'm really good. And when they do have a misstep or miss a kick or whatever, they don't get down on themselves. They're extremely positive in their self-talk. And then they have to have a level of coolness. Cameron Dicker bangs a field goal to win the Cotton Bowl game as a true freshman. And you'd have thought he's kicking on a Tuesday afternoon in summer workouts. So if I have to pick three guys, those three guys probably stand out in all of those facets. They are physically strong. They're mentally tough because of their confidence and their self-talk. They have no doubt, wherever that ball is on the field, they're getting their job done. There's not a kick they can't make. There's not a situation that's too big, and the lights are never too bright.
You've been at many schools over the course of your coaching journey. How would you describe what your career has been like? And kind of like why you do what you do.
I've been very blessed. There's a hell of a lot of good football coaches out there that are coaching junior high football. There's a hell of a lot of good football coaches that are coaching freshman high school football. It's just we get to do it at a higher level just because we're at the right place at the right time. I've been very blessed with my journey to be around some really good coaches and tremendous kids. And because of those coaches I've been around and the young men I've had the fortune and the opportunity to coach is why I still get to do this. I'm blessed every day. Some people have to go to work. I get to go to work, and I love that.
I was told that you are a big barbecue guy. So how did you pick up on that and just your background story to barbecue?
I'm born and raised in the barbecue capital of Texas, Taylor, Texas, in Central Texas. The barbecue piece stemmed from I would have players coming over to eat at my house. And when you have players come over, sometimes I see coaches catering food. I'm like, why are you catering food? This is a home-cooked meal. Let's feed the players. Well, I would have like the entire defense come eat. Well, it's a lot of food. So I started smoking briskets, ribs, chicken, sausage, all that stuff as a way to feed the masses, for lack of a better term. I'm a wannabe pit master. I think I'm pretty damn good at it. I'm probably not. But it's good therapy. It's where you just kind of relax and invest in something and compete against yourself. It's a hell of a way to compete. How good was your brisket versus that one? How good were your ribs versus the last time? So it's competitive in that way too. If I win the lottery, I'm opening up a barbecue joint without a doubt. But I'm going to have to get somebody that can actually run it. But I've been blessed to be around a lot of really good people in that business and try to learn from them and do that. But it was to take care of the players is where it stemmed from.
Coach Brennan's a big barbecue guy as well. Have you guys talked about maybe doing a competition between the two of you?
We've shared thoughts and ideas and a lot of good stuff like that. So been extremely productive conversations.
All right, that's our time.
Cool. Outstanding.